Hello, everybody, and welcome to the late episode of the Classic Quest, where my name's HSR,
I am your lady friend Bonnie.
and today we're going to be talking about Redman's album, Whut, the album. That's the name of the album. What? ? The album with two E's in the "the". Anyway.
And a U instead of an A in what?
Yes, very, very important stuff. That's what we're going to talk about today. For those of you who are new here, you can check the description of the video to see when we're going to actually start talking about the album if you're not down for the intro bit. But we like to kind of start off every episode now just mentioning that we're some regular people kind of discovering hip-hops as we go. On this show, The Classic Quest, we're kind of digging through the classics of all time to better understand the culture and just kind of the history of hip-hop. So we're going to go through the album track by track, and we're going to give our thoughts and our opinions on what struck out to us and what interesting shit we could find about each and every one of them, all 21 of them in this case. And there's a good chance that you coming to this review, unless you're one of the people who would just watch everything we put out, the few of you that exist, you're fucking dope. But for those of you that are coming here for the most part, you're going to be a lot more familiar with this album than we are. In a lot of cases, we've heard the album for a week ever when we talk about it. And so just keep that in mind. And with that is an open invitation to leave any comment you feel is helpful, or maybe you want to correct us or teach us a thing or two, or even just tell us off. Feel free to do so. We take every comment extremely seriously. As an example, on last week's review, which was I think 2 weeks ago because we fucked up, it was
just really cold, and then I was out and you were out, and it was
seriously,
just like a whole...
Little tangent note.
We got home really late.
If you Google how Montreal's snow removal process went, our mayor tried an experiment where she did something like leave really big snowbanks in order to try to make it easier to deal with ice and water. And I don't really remember the reason why, but it ended up with me falling on my ass twice. So, and then it just...
I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think...
No, it was because there was this giant snowbank when you get off the bus that you can walk on, and then there's a descent about yay big, right? So you get off, and then it's just flat ice, like a sheet of ice with no salt. And I'm my boots have some traction, but I hit it wrong, and that was on me. I fell.
I feel like everybody was falling last week.
But it was literally the 2 stops before somebody else had fallen, so I felt like a fucking idiot. Then one of my colleagues, who isn't born in Montreal, happens to not be from here, he approached the problem differently. He went to the Dollarama and bought these things he put on his shoe. They were these little rubber shits, and made me, a native, look like such an asshole as he just stormed off and went and walked casually, and I had to waddle like a fucking penguin for 10 minutes just to do a 3-minute walk. Anyway, everything was slow last week. That was the whole point of that. And come on, we're Montrealers complaining about winters. It's just
I'm not complaining. I love winter.
Terrible.
I will complain in the
awful.
Summer, which is too hot and gross.
Beautiful in the summer.
No.
Anyway, so we talked about Eminem's Encore, and that was a little bit requested, so we caved and did it. And on that, we have Jorge, I hope I say that right, Soto. I like every single song on this album. This is part of why I picked this comment, because it's the complete opposite how I feel. Well, I don't like every single song. I like some. But just to have somebody feel that way, it's so interesting to hear, right? Just to get that other perspective. This album, my brother got this when I was in the 7th or 8th grade, and it made me think, man, M can do any style when he flows. That made me think he was one of the best rappers. He can be funny, creepy, cool, obnoxious, and when I think Crazy in Love and Rookie Took is my favorite, I feel like Crazy in Love is to Kim, but also to hip-hop. Yellow Brick Road is dope, too. I just re-listened to Foolish Pride, made me like it more, so I don't know whose verse I like better on... my friend who thought it was Lil Wayne, but the best rapper at the time. I was like, what, bro, listen, I'm sorry if this is coming off choppy, I'm just reading it verbatim. To M, so I let him listen to my CD player, and he thought Rayman was funny. His reaction was this said, lol, out of Slim Shady EP, MMLP, and M, this is my favorite, thanks for the review. So, to summarize, he really fucking likes this project, and that's some serious shit. That's why I brought it, and I'm to me it's weird. But I guess some of the shit that bothered me may just be me becoming an old man. So I really appreciate having these comments to remind me that that's happening in my life.
Yeah.
But it's just cool. It's just cool to, like, I read them all and I'll answer them all up until the day it's not possible to do so. So, like, I just want you to feel encouraged that this isn't some fake ass community effort. It's like just, it motivates the fuck out of me to read those comments. Anyway, before we jump into the project, special thanks to the patrons Ismail Gadamsi, Super Old School 1994, Linda Williams, and Chris Prado. They helped us get a new camera. Hopefully it works well this episode. One of them, the focus was off, and then the last one, we realized how linty the table was because of the new camera. So I put some effort into delinting the table, and we'll work on some cleanliness in here, just because apparently now the camera's going to pick it up better. So thank y'all. That was really dope. We'll talk a bit about that at the end. But Bonnie, why don't you reintroduce the album that we'll be talking about today?
Well, this week we are doing Redman's Whut, the album, which came out September 22nd, 1992. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Did you ever listen to it before? I didn't. I didn't really know much about Redman.
I'm pretty sure I played it through one time back in the day when I went on one of my pretend hip-hop classic quests before I took it seriously and made the classic quest. Get it?
Right.
But I once tried this when I was a bit younger, maybe 2014 or so, and I listened to it, but I definitely didn't appreciate it, understand it, or think it was very substantial, which is not necessarily how I feel today. But I heard it then. I know who Redman is, because we like to all start off the show a bit just describing our connection to the artist, because it kind of matters as you review an album. If you're a lifetime fan since like 92 or whatever,
You're going to have a different perspective than somebody who's listened to it for the first time.
Exactly. And that's why I think it's so interesting to have those perspective conversations, whatever. But so like I know who Redman is because I've listened to both the Blackout and the Blackout 2 albums from Method Man and Redman. He's all over different shits I've heard in my life. So I'm very comfortable with saying I like Redman. On the other hand, I never really listened to Redman I haven't listened to him much since we've been doing this channel, so I can say that I've never given Redman the same kind of appreciation and analytical, like, why is Redman good, that I've done to so many other people at this point. So it was still kind of like my first time really trying to understand Redman, you can say. I just knew he was good. He had a great energy. His voice is alive. You can't help but not notice that, but why is Redman incredible? I don't know. If you'd asked me 2 years ago, I'd have a different answer than today.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've heard the name, but I don't know who he is. Like, I couldn't tell you, like, what he had sang or anything like that. But I feel like he maybe was a little bit mainstream, and like, so I've definitely like encountered the name before.
Well, I mean, he did the movie How High, which was popping back when we were like 12 or 13. So it was like literally impossible to avoid Redman at one point if you're our age. Like,
Well,
regardless.
I
Really?
mean, I wasn't really watching. I've never watched it.
I never, but like you had to have seen the adverts and people talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I
especially
knew
in
what it
college.
was.
At one point, every stoner you knew must have brought up how amazing that movie is and put it right next to Half Baked. It was impossible to avoid Redman, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool if you really think about it. How often do we really have a rapper we talk about on this channel ever that was so successful at being so mainstream in any capacity that I can look at you and say definitively, I know you know who the fuck he is.
Yeah, like I'm saying that too. Like, I definitely know like that he was mainstream. That's what I was saying. Like, but I can't think of like what he was involved with that I would have like I don't know if I was ever involved in whatever he was involved with. Let's just say that.
I mean, I think the Rock Wilder from the Blackout 1 is literally one of the songs that got me interested in hip-hop music in the first place. So, I mean, I guess you can say from my inception of ever listening to rap in a aloof way, Redman has just always been in my cognizant understanding of music, even if I never, I don't know, I guess some part of me, and this is the truth, heard he wasn't actually in the Wu-Tang, so I took him less seriously. We're talking like 18 to like 20-year-old me who doesn't know anything about anything. And it's entirely, like, if I'm really thinking about it, he wasn't actually in the Wu-Tang when I Googled it and read Wikipedia pages.
Right.
So I just, like, from the next while along, he just flew out of my radar because, you know, he's affiliated, you know? Like, what's the difference? Now I know, okay? I know people. But back then, I was a fool. And I think that's the beauty of life. You can grow and change. So
Absolutely.
what do you think, though, of just the title and more importantly, that
cover.
cover that DMX clearly looked at one point in his life.
Well, it's interesting. It's very splatty. Like I don't know how else to describe it. Like it's very like it looks like it was splatted like onto like the cover. He's there with like his painted like red hands that are obviously to imply he's either caught red-handed or it's blood. And
or he's a red man.
Yeah.
That was literally the first one I came up with. All the other stuff you said was not the first thing that popped into my head. It was red man, red hands.
Yeah, but the rest of him isn't red. It's only his hands, so that doesn't make any sense.
Well, he's not going to be putting this shit on his face now, is he?
Why wouldn't he? And it's not even on the front of his
hand. Then the whole back of it's red. And then if it was all red, there'd be no color contrast.
Anyways, I think both of mine are more right than this. But anyways, that's my opinion. And one thing I wanted to also say is that I thought it was interesting that the parental advisory sticker was crooked, because I feel like that there's like a standard that it should be, you know, square and wherever it is supposed to be placed or whatever, but he like turned it a little bit. So
you know what, when you say it out loud, it's almost like calling the entire, because this is dropping around the time that the sticker is becoming a mandatory thing. So there's still the
kind of
FBI, I think, is still going to war with hip hop at this time. Mm-hmm. So this is just a crooked move that he has to put on his album.
Yep.
That's really smart, Bonnie. That's nice. I'm sorry. I was an impressive thought, okay? Yeah. I didn't think of that shit. I'm terrible with the covers, and I'm certain you all know that who do come back regularly.
And like you can't see like his eyes or anything, so he's kind of hiding. It's like he's kind of, I think that's it. He's kind of also like hiding in the shadows. Like, he's not so like out there.
And I like that he basically goes what the fuck and instead it's what the album, right? Because like that's just great. Like instead of, because what the fuck is it's the same thing today as it is 30, 40 years ago. It might actually be a universal constant. What the fuck? A universal real equalizer of life. And
is that Shakespeare? It's in there?
Maybe. It might just be. I don't actually know.
Hamlet or something?
Does Shakespeare say fuck?
I don't think so.
Me neither. But that would be cool if he did. Like, imagine you just cussing like a motherfucker the second the camera's away. Or I guess there's no cameras back then. Okay, focus. So what the album, it just kind of gives you the sense that this is going to be a fucking trip, right? Like, it's not going to be your standard album experience, I guess, is the first thing that's conveyed to me.
Yeah.
And then you just look at this guy.
But it definitely comes across very, like, scary a little bit. Like, you're not really sure what to expect, and it's kind of like a horror scene a little bit. Like,
simultaneously, with the art style, it also looks like it's going to be like a goofy, really almost satirical version of that. Like, maybe this is just me looking at this from 2019, but when I look at it, I feel like as much as Redman is that, he's also making fun of that all at the same time. And maybe I'm wrong, but like he kind of looks like he's tough, but he's ready to crack a smile at any fucking moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I feel like it's kind of like also like reflective in the like art style that was like happening like from like, because he's from New Jersey, and so like that kind of art style and like just the way he's kind of in the shadows, it kind of makes me think of if you know art, Jean-Michel Basquiat, and he was an artist in New York at the time, or in the 80s. I think he'd already passed away before this was released, but it's kind of like reminiscent of that, like that kind of like graffiti-esque art is kind of like the cover.
Fair enough. You want to jump into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
There's a psycho ward, and Bonnie's part of it.
Nah.
Yeah. Okay, my papers show that you strangled.
So we get this introduction, and I think before we go into the introduction, there's a little story about this album worth pointing out.
Okay.
According to Redman, he wasn't given a lot of direction. Somehow it's a bit more of a detailed story. I'm going to give you the Cole's Notes version, but he ended up basically doing it by himself in terms of making the album. Nobody said, this is how you make an album. They just kind of left him there to go make the album. So he produced a lot of it. He had help from the dude from EMPD, I believe it is.
Okay.
And like, so he wasn't like alone, but he was kind of alone. So I think that's very important to know when looking at this introduction, right?
That he kind of figured it all out, and he did a pretty decent job.
And I think that he's kind of telling us that truth through this introduction, right? So, how you doing, Redman? He's Dr. Travis. And if I'm not mistaken, that's Redman doing this voice, right? Which means right away, Redman's playing a completely different character on the album, which to date is the earliest we've seen it in history on an album, 92. A person playing a completely different character like that. So that's fucking cool to me. And then it shows he strangled a white male by the name of Mr. Van Allen at a rap concert, and then he's done it a bunch of other times, and he's fucking going crazy. So you get the sense he's maybe in a loony bin, the psycho ward, and he also hears he's a rapper. And if you have the chance to create your own album, and in a sense he really did,
Yep.
He just kind of did it all himself with no instructions. In your own words, tell me, in your own words, how would you build it? How would you make it work? Focus your mind, focus your mind. So taking into the idea that he's basically made this whole album as a result of this, and it is a chance to maybe channel these aggressive thoughts and these crazy things that are going on in his mind, he simultaneously tells us that he doesn't, this was like people let him do this, right? Like people are just kind of letting him go loose and create this thing, and it's not going to be your normal album compared to like however other people are doing it. Like there's not, I think you get the, as we'll get into it, I guess I can explain more what we mean as we go on, what I mean by that as we go on. But I really appreciated this introduction. It was well produced. It has this psychotic laughing as like an undertrack the whole way through. It is very creative, sets you up to go to a new place like Redman's mind. And I think that as far as album introductions go, it's pretty standout. So I give it a 4.5.
Okay. It definitely starts off kind of for me like it sounded a little bit more scary and intimidating, which like reflected like more of like the cover, kind of what I was expecting, like a little bit more like hardcore going into it. I was like, okay, this is like interesting. And I guess it is him like kind of like running wild, like he's producing this album and he's just trying to figure it out, and he's just kind of like an insane person, like he's just gonna like go for it and do whatever. And I think there was something else about Redman having strangled a whole bunch of like white guys at a bunch of his concerts, and I thought that was kind of interesting, you know, like a little note about him, I guess. And his doctor is talking to him, and I don't like that creepy laugh like in the background, and it was just like the whole way through, and it really creeped me out. I appreciated like the last kind of lyrics, and it was, or the words of the song, like focus your mind. So he's obviously like trying to like get into like a place where he can like really focus, and like he's going to like blow your mind, and like, you know, so it's going to be interesting whatever's coming up. But for me, like I found it like too creepy and weird, but like I get that it's like a good introduction, but just not my favorite introduction. So I give this a 3.75.
That's fair. And honestly, the very next thing you hear is going to be the title of the next song. Time for some action. I'm reading it phonetically, but time for some action.
I'll show you what type of stuff I'm on. You can't puff or slip it because I was born with it.
All right, Bonnie. So you get Redman. He hypes us up with a little intro. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden, Be Real coming in with the time for some action, just fucking looped out to like really build up that hook, which is fucking cool.
Yep.
And then Big Daddy Kane lights camera action over it, and right away you're getting this very creative use of samples just all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
Like, this really does fit. And this one was produced with Erick Sermon, so that I believe is the name I was looking for earlier, who was working with him on this. And but he was like simultaneously doing his own shit, so like he was only available part-time to like be there for Redman. So Redman just kind of just feels like he's just grabbing a bunch of different things and just fucking throwing it together, and it just creates this like head bopping fucking dope ass experience, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do you feel about it though?
I mean, I liked it. It was fun. It was a little bit like you're kind of, you know, after the introduction, I feel like this was like a little bit different, a little different like vibe to it. I enjoy the Cypress Hill, like, you know, that's kind of thrown into like the mix. I like their sound. And this one just sounds like really, really funky. And there's a lot going on with his lyrics and everything else. And they're just kind of like showing off how they can flow, and just kind of like having fun with it. like I said, the lyrics were just kind of like all over the place. So not really like about anything so much this song, but just kind of that it's dope and it's really cool. I give this a 4.25. I liked it. It was good.
I feel like the song kind of contextualizes maybe his state of mind a bit, you know? A little introduction to him, like, in this corner we have the funk body snatcher, P Funkadelic, and I Getcha. So right away, and right after that, let's get ready to rumble, like that classic, let's get ready
So
to...
yeah.
So he comes in, like, ready to fight, like Mama said, knock you out, almost, vibes of it going on. And then you have Redman, like, showing that that's the first thing. He's ready to go. He's in his corner. He's about that funk, and he's got this energetic voice that I feel like just comes alive. But it's young. It's like the young version of what I've come to expect. Like, now he sounds a bit old. But compared to this, he just sounds like he's ready to fucking let off on anyone. But at the same time, it's kind of silly. Which, it's like hard and silly at the exact same time. Which I think is fucking cool. Like,
Yeah.
hard enough that I can chew a whole bag of rocks, chew an avenue, chew on an off street, on off block, then turn around and do the same thing to a soloist because Reggie Noble's pissed. I crushed the whole brain frame because you couldn't maintain funk. So it's yeah, he's lashing out, he's rhyming proper, but there's like this degree of funny almost to it. It's so ridiculous that you can't help but crack a smile that somehow Reggie here has managed to smack you lyrically but makes you laugh at the same time.
And for those of you who don't know, Reggie Nobles is Redman.
Yeah, and I'm just like sitting here going, this is fucking weird, right? Like, it's not bad at all. That's not what I'm trying to imply. Like, it makes me smile weird. Like, it's so fucking cool because his energy is just next level, and it really just feels like every line is delivered with extreme passion, and he's just going wild, like whatever came to his mind. Like, the Funkadelic Devil hit you at the rap level of 10, then 1, 2, 3, you're pinned. I get action, so everybody jump with your rump. If you like the way it sounds punk, pump it in your back trunk. I'm just like, it's not maybe the most overt poet style of hip-hop we're getting here, but from an energy just blasting out, flowing in an interesting and cool way. A lot of creativity, too, because his lines aren't vapid. That's not what I'm trying to imply. They're not maybe deep, but they're pretty well rhymed and well constructed to carry this narrative. If you just picture him being like this jump around the stage, enigmatic fucking creature ready to just mash out. And then the Straight Outta Jersey line, just kind of calling a nod to Straight Outta Compton, but also his home place, keeping it proper. I really like the fact that I'm too hot. Some say I got more juice than Tupac. But that's fucking bold, you know? And then the second verse kind of comes in with the same overall tone. He's got a few cultural lines like that make you want to run your rap style to the crack aisle, brother, then strike a pose like Madonna. So, you know, he's hitting you so hard that makes you want to go strike a Vogue as a crackhead over there because you fucking done. That's what I took from that. So it's just fucking fun, you know? And he goes on the whole way through. The beat just kind of kicks in. And I feel like when you do get to like that hook again and like Be Real is just there, it makes sense. Their voices go really well together, but that is the perfect hook. It's like it's like you could just picture Reggie was listening to that song, which is I think How I Could Just Kill a Man. And he just got fucking inspired and turned it into this fucking song and then grabbed whatever else to do it. And then get into that spoken part. Yo, 1992, Redman gets paid. You know what I'm saying? We not going for the okey doke. Believe that. Now, I know okey doke is like falling for a scam or anything, but I just wanted to draw attention to how I think it's one of the silliest slang terms ever. The okey doke. Anyway, I really enjoyed listening to this. Like, I feel like I'm not going to this for deep thinking, but I am now going to this for fun. This might be one of the first times I'm enjoying something that's meant to be fun. Because usually, if you'll notice, I'm really into the more serious side and the fun. I'm like, whatever. This is fucking dope. This is serious and fun. 4.5 on 5. Fucking great.
Well, let's check out the funk.
Yeah.
I'll go right back to the old school, but before we do, I want to know, is my niggas in that?
If there was ever an unfortunate way to end a song that gets real dated because of current history, it's got to be this one.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I know exactly what you're
It just cuts off while he says, I'm well known like Donald Trump, which I guess in 92 is a very different statement than, 2019.
Yeah.
But I wanted to point that out because it is to me.
Well, the whole outro, I mean, because it rhymes with the entire outro. The entire outro is, I'm back with the funk, chump. You want funk? How many lumps? I got spunk. I'm well known like Donald Trump. I'm not, ... dot, dot.
Yeah, that's fair. But, like, you can't really hear the I'm not, or at least I couldn't hear
Yeah.
the I'm not. So it just kind of cuts off, like, I'm well known like Donald Trump. And that's just, I thought it was just worthy of pointing out because it was one of those things how, like, it's crazy how using people like a celebrity in a rhyme can maybe bite you in the ass one day is, I guess, kind of the thing. Personally, I've never been that into those kinds of puns because I find they date tracks in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. And so I get it. It's all over. You can't avoid it. But I've always preferred it when people don't use those types of cultural reference. But here we have another interesting thing. It appears that Redman and Reggie Noble, who are not the same thing, are having a conversation with themselves.
As you do.
So I love that, though, because frankly, I get it in a sense that sometimes if I'm working through a problem, I'll have an entire conversation with myself because it's easier than talking to other people sometimes. You just need to get it out. But I like the fact that he separates the character that is Redman, this like person, his persona, and the character that is Reggie Noble himself. And they're the same, but they're different literally on wax, you know? And then that they have this old song about getting fucked up and smoking some doobs too, and then they kick it in and it's funky. And lyrically, I don't know that this is one of my favorites. I mean, it's not bad in any way, but I think it's the combination of the overall sound not being one of my favorites, this kind of overly old school, kind of funky sound, which is, it's pleasant to listen to. The intro's pretty long, but this is a great example of how Redman is not making an album the way I think most people would make albums. Track 2, or whatever, or 3 I guess, is 2 minutes and 18 seconds, and it's like mostly a skit, and then it's just this random verse, and then it just kind of ends, you know?
Yep.
And it's not bad, right? Like, ever since 3, I cut throats to MCs, mediocre lyricists who burn with degrees of 2 tens, not from an oven, but Mac 10 and Mac 20, maybe if I didn't subtract 10. It's actually really fun rhyming to listen to. It's just from a meaning substance. Nothing really, really struck out to me. It was a lot of just him kind of coming in. He's about the punk. He's about the funk, the legitimacy, and he hits it hard. He does his thing, and I really enjoyed the energy. But this is possibly one of my less favorite songs on this project. So I gave it a 4.15 because it's definitely it's got its points. It's totally cool. The intro's got its style. Everything about it seems like this big experiment. Like, this is the kind of shit that drives forward the culture, even if this particular moment isn't the greatest in time, right? Like, I admire what this is from a historical context if my ears aren't enjoying it as much today.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, this song is basically like him kind of like encouraging everybody to relax, get high, and enjoy this song, which is, fun. It's interesting. Like, he's just kind of like a take it easy kind of a guy. And he mixes in some Erick B and Rakim, so I always appreciate their sounds, now that I know who they are, after all this. He shows off his rhymes at the end, and it's smooth, it's enjoyable. Overall, I thought it was good. It's fun. I gave it a 4.25.
That's fair. Why don't we just take a little news break?
In Los Angeles, law enforcement officers and troops are trying to make it a
So here it's one of the more sample-driven interludes, and I really like what he did here. I think this is one of the more interesting interludes because first of all, it's all very trippy, right? And it sets it up like the news is a fucking trip. Like, the news isn't a real thing. It's almost like this skewed perception. Like, watching the news is like popping acid and going down the fucking rabbit hole, right? That's always what I took from the sounds he used to make that happen. And then it's just kind of just, I mean, this is about 6 months after the LA riots.
Yeah.
So he's kind of, I guess, grabbing clips from there, and the cops are trying to make it a nice night and have no real things. 35 people have already died, and et cetera, et cetera. And then in the midst of this, you have this other, I guess it's a sample. It also could have been something they recorded, but I wasn't sure. And it's just like, Reggie, what are you doing here? Blah, blah, blah. And then gunshots. And it just ends. I'm like, that's the whole, thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's meant to be like a criticism of some kind of watching the news is like bad for you because it's just bullshit. They're not reporting on the reality, and by doing so, it's like you're putting your mind into a place where it will kill you as a person. And I can only imagine what it's like to have watched that from New Jersey, right? Because it's one thing to have the guys in LA talking about it, but this is like the perspective maybe of just being on the other side of it. Or maybe I'm just speculating. This is just where my mind went with it. And I thought it was really deep, all things considered, for how short and interesting it was. It was like a real art piece move on the end of Redman. So I give it a 4.25 because there isn't that much to it in terms of, I mean, there's a bunch to it based on what I just said, but in terms of listening, it's fine. It's totally skippable depending on your mood. But I admire what he did. It's really, like, it's not just your average skit.
Right. Like, it definitely stands out, like, as a skit, and it is very, like, relevant to the time that he, released this album and he was creating all of this. And I think it's interesting that it's kind of sounds like no matter what channel you put on, they're all talking about this in LA, in LA, in LA, in LA, in Los Angeles, in Los Angeles. So it's just like repeated over and over again.
Shit.
And it's kind of mostly, from what it sounds like at the very least, reported by white people. So it's all these white people telling like these like crazy events that are happening in like the black community, and like they're just seeing it from like an outsider's point of view. They're like, oh, look at all this craziness. Oh, this is terrible. Blah, blah, blah. We must do something about this, as white people do. And but it's obviously like relevant to them, and it's obviously relevant to him, and that's kind of why he's tying it in. And he's like, he can't escape it, and this is kind of like, it's just, I don't know. I thought it was pretty interesting, and it was a bit creepy to hearing about that, and like just the way he kind of plays it out. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was good, but a little like dated, but still relevant, to today, because you shouldn't forget about these kinds of things. I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Actually, now that you say that, I think it's a little more relevant today because the news is like 5 times as corrupt as it was back then.
And like the fake news was like this kind of stuff almost, but
now it's like almost worse. Man, I mean, this is another great example of some shit from the 90s being commented on, so that when like something I encounter as a white person who sometimes tries to discuss this with other white folk, these types of issues is, well, why weren't anybody ever talking about it? Why has no one ever talked about these issues before? Why is it all of a sudden? And that's like the number one argument I'll get is like feedback from people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And then you go, but like Redman was in 92. And like, anyway, I'm certain everybody here watching this review knows what the fuck I'm talking about. It's just, and you're probably 80 times as frustrated as I could ever even feel on this issue. So I'm just, anyway, it's just another moment of that for me, hearing this type of shit. Still really cool. But the next one is so rough.
And I dip with the quickness. The plan went well, so I got down to the business. Opened up the bag.
Like I was saying, if I thought I could ever be frustrated, Redman was about to let us know he was frustrated too, right? Just look at how this song starts. And then Bonnie will talk, and we will let her do it so I don't dominate the whole show. Sorry, I do that a lot. But, Redman, do you feel that the blacks in your community are still mad at the racial situation? What a stupid fucking question. Like, when you hear it today...
Are you guys still upset about that?
Oh, are you mad that for like 40 years, like it's been bullshit after, anyway, more than 40 years. I was going to say something about since desegregation and blah, 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 and that's about 40 years, but anyway.
It's been hundreds of years.
It's bullshit. We all know how complicated and deep, well, we are aware of how complicated and deep the shit really gets. So yeah, they're still mad, and if you don't take that funny smirk off your face, I might kick you. And it's almost like he's just answering the news here, right? Showing his fucking frustration with the bullshit kind of questions and crap that they get said. And maybe this is even being said to him in actual fucking interviews,
Yep.
Over 300 ghetto-related crimes happened in Newark, New Jersey alone. Still, the saga continues. This book right here called Gang Leader for a Day, wow, the dude's a little bit of a sensationalized guy in the way he writes. He hangs out in like a Chicago fucking hood for a whole bunch of times in like the early 90s, just describing how ignored the hood is and why there are 300 ghetto-related crimes in a fucking neighborhood. And it's like, anyway. So after that, song starts and it gets back to funky fun. So how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought it was interesting the way that, the reporter asks him about that at the beginning. I really like the beat on this one. Like, the flow is, like, really solid. He's kind of talking about, like, that it's dangerous on the streets, that the cops all carry guns, and everybody carries guns because the cops all carry guns, essentially just for their own, defensive purposes. And then he talks about that he gets HIV because him and his friend were sharing this one girl, and they just kept, like, banging her, like, on different nights or whatever. And then he realizes that he's caught HIV, and because he obviously didn't wear a condom. And then he goes to tell his friend, like, hey, like, you probably have HIV too. Just like heads up. And then, it's just sort of like a, hey, wear a condom kind of like lesson and protect yourself or you might die.
But what's funny about it is just the timing, right? Called Erick in his set, that girl, don't mess around, too late, because Erick already had his drawers down because it's so rough.
And we all know a different Erick that also passed away from HIV.
That is true. It's not a good thing to have happen. No. I don't know if that's related in any way given the time.
No, but I was just saying, I'm like, when he brought that up, when he used that name, I was like,
no, that's fair enough. But yeah, I think that's because it's Erick Sermon who he's in anyway.
Yes.
So this song is kind of like, look, so the first verse is like about this robbery and shit and how like whatever, just kind of almost responding. And it's fucking fun. Like, stick 'em up. I got the jam into your guts, punk. Don't make a move, for I choose to make your guts run. And it's just kind of like, okay, that upbeat, really fun storytelling. And I'm not going to lie, this is my favorite version of Redman. The way he just flows into these creative things. So he farts before I snack or shits or whatever. Because I'm not down with water from the hydrant. My mom's taking a bath, my brother's next to dive in. And it's just like, while it's ridiculous and funny, it's also really painting the landscape. So on the one hand, it's a joke because, it's at the fire hydrant. On the other hand, it maybe isn't a joke.
And he's also kind of saying, like, okay, the mom is taking the first bath, and then the second bath without, like, draining the water is going to be, like, his older brother, and it's just kind of like in order of, like, age or whatever.
And then I gotta think of a plan so I can eat. I haven't had a cracker for weeks, so my mouth leaks. I squat up because I'm gonna set up this kid. And then it's like, I haven't eaten for weeks. Now I'm gonna go commit a robbery. Otherwise, what the fuck am I gonna do?
But I thought
die.
that was interesting because he's also kind of saying, like, he's going to rob either a white person because duh, and he wants to eat because it's a cracker.
Yeah, which is really well thought. I didn't think of that. Anyway, so he goes and robs the person. Turns out that the person was an undercover cop, and he gets kind of clipped, and he's going to jail. So it's almost like he gets
screwed no matter what.
So, like, I can't remember what entrapment is. I think a specific crime where cops bait people just to clip them, right? So in a sense, if you see a very hungry person and you obviously set up a situation where you can get robbed and that person robs you, I believe there is a legal defense of entrapment where you can say the cops manipulated the situation, and maybe in another version of it,
like,
you
if they lie and I think that's why, like, you always see in movies at least that's as far as I know, you always get people who are, like, suspicious of people, or criminals who are suspicious of people, and they always say, are you a cop? You have to tell me if you're a cop. Like,
so that's completely bullshit that you actually have to do that. The cop does not. But it's more like to get people to commit crimes they wouldn't have committed otherwise, and created the circumstances for the crime to be committed, and that is why the person commits crime.
I think that's kind of what it is. I think society has set him up, has set up a lot of people to commit crimes.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that.
Yeah.
And he's saying that even the cops are setting you up like that. And maybe it's a legitimate investigation. And maybe if you know more about the legal system, you can let us know in the comments. I'm not trying to pretend like I'm an expert on this. This is just what I'm interpreting from what I heard here. And then the song flips into Don't Fuck Without a Rubber. And I'm not kidding.
Yep.
The song just flips. It sounds the same. He's rapping exactly the same tone of voice and everything. Only we went from cops set me up in a robbery, I'm going to jail, to I got AIDS and so does Erick Sermon. And literally to all my brothers, wear your hats. You can either get with this, or then you can either catch the claps. And to my sisters, make them wear their prophylastic because it's drastic having another ghetto bastard. And you're like, damn, man, I've been
So it's
looking,
both of them like are responsible.
which is amazing, and I have been looking for pro condom advocates for. It's always something I'm looking for, because it's so rare. In fact, it's like hit it raw. It seems to be a point of fucking pride in 2019, and then you have Redman here being like,
Wear a
nope,
condom.
wear your condoms.
And then at the end of the song, it's like a flat, but like when you're in the hospital, like a flat line beep, like when you die, and because if you don't, like you could die, like, and this was like a really serious issue, especially in like the 80s and the 90s, or the early 90s at least, where AIDS and HIV was like they didn't know how to stop it, like it was just like you if you got it, you died, like it was just like a death sentence, and so it was pretty scary at the time.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed this song, all things considered. It was fun. It was informative. It was interesting. It was weird, and it got a 4.5.
Yeah, I also get a 4.5. I really liked it. It's a good beat, good story, good lessons. Good job.
So the next track is rated R.
Okay.
Well, I'm not a warrior or barbarian type of nigga. I'm just quick to smoke your family, then fuck.
Beats the devil with a shovel. Redman. That's the answer to the question. He beats the devil with a fucking shovel in this song. How fucking great is this guy? That's okay, Bonnie. How do you feel about this one?
Okay. So, like, this one's, I don't know. It was kind of funny. He's talking about, like, having AIDS again, but then, like, you're not really sure if he's joking about it, and you're kind of like, well, does he or doesn't he? Like, and I think that's, I mean, that's his prerogative. He can do whatever. I guess this one was like just very, very funky. And he describes like people and characters that are from like movies that are rated R. And he's kind of like, I guess he's kind of like questioning, like, this doesn't seem like it should be like rated R, or I don't know. I think he's just like wondering who puts these, like, who decides whether it's like rated R. I enjoyed it. I thought it was like good. It was good mixing. It was like kind of slow, but it was fun. I gave this one a 4.5.
I really enjoyed this one a lot. First of all, the chorus just has Rakim going, I'm rated R, this is a warning, followed by Ice Cube going, boy, you can't fuck with me. There's no way this album could get made today. The amount of money, I mean, I'm certain half the reason 5 of the songs aren't on Spotify is sample issues after the fact.
I guess,
But like the amount of money that would have to be paid to make this album and samples alone would make this fucking next level expensive. But
very true.
on the other hand, I guess Redman didn't care when he made this because fuck, it just comes off so like fresh, just hearing like all of these classic names just being interjected in, and then Redman shows up to kind of tell his part of it. Now, I want to make it really clear that this might be one of the funnest flows on this album. So for those of you like looking to see Redman like flexing flow and skill, just his speed and constant just flowing nature on this track. I know that was a stupid word. It was like fucking proper. Like he just tells this narrative of all the ways he's rated R by using like horror movies and other things as examples. But I think the point was more to talk about how hardcore he is, like his music is so extreme and so fucking real. So, what else is rated R? Shit like going, got naughty in my nature, plus I'm down with OPP, which if you think about that whole song is about banging other people. The best part about it, I got AIDS, bitch. So I think what he's actually doing in those lines is an example of saying, hey, look what happens when you fuck everybody, you get AIDS. I think he's actually responding a little bit to the naughty by nature line. I might be wrong, but then he follows it up. Psych, I'm only kidding. Only do it to ugly women. I guess saying ugly women can't get AIDS. Because the pretty ones' puss smell like they went fishing. So you can see he's just like...
It's like pretty girls are having like too much sex.
Yeah, and they're just gross and they don't clean, and the ugly girls have to try harder. But like the hot girls don't try very hard because
guys
they know
don't want to
they're hot.
bang the ugly girls, so it's just like.
So they have to put that extra effort in to make sure it's all priff and nice. I don't know what priff means. I grab my dick tight grip because I might flip. Yo, Red, kick that hype shit on who you had a fight with. I had a fight with Chuck, the punk motherfucker tried to stab me in the gut, so I dazed him with an uppercut. And I thought that was really funny. Like, he basically takes on Chucky, the little fucking doll, and just, like, is this goofy thing right after talking about getting AIDS from fucking promiscuous sex and shit. And
Yep.
he flows. It's just a great beat. It's like back on that funky bouncing. So obviously, if you're not really into the overall sound of the beats, I don't feel like there is change ups and diversity, but there's quite a few with this overall bouncy funky sound.
Yeah.
And they all sound really good. But lyrically, this is my favorite one so far, and I'm giving this a 4.75 for just how enjoyable it was to listen to, how much energy Redman throws into it, how much effort he puts into making rhyming sound easy. That's fucking cool. I don't know. Do you have any more to say about that?
No, I'm good.
So you want to watch your nuggets?
Yep.
Frame it, Hall of Fame and hang it so no one can claim it. I rule, brought my style from the.
Hey,
Erick
Bonnie.
Sooperman.
Hey. Highlight of the album.
Hi.
How do you feel about this one?
It was very cool. Like right away, like as it starts, you're like, this is gonna be a cool song. And Erick Sooperman is very funny. I thought that like clearly he's like just like a goofball, just like Redman. Like I have no idea like how to describe his lyrics except that they're fun and they just work and like they're still like impressive, and they're showing off like their skill and their flow and like that their lyrics, and like it was really fun. And I really like this, like the scratching. I always enjoy that with like the disc scratching. Very fun to listen to. I gave this one a 4.5. And it has funny lyrics.
Okay. So it starts off, and we get our first feature on the project, like actual feature, which is Erick Sooperman, as we know.
Yep.
And then you just got the chorus, which is "When I come around, homeboy, watch your nuggets." I don't know what this is from. It's in quoted. I don't really know, but like it just comes in.
Apparently it's sampled from Rampage by EPMD and LL Cool J.
Oh, which I believe is Erick Sooperman's in EPMD. That's what I was trying to say earlier. Anyway, and then chill and relax and back in effect. He comes in, he flows, and you're right. He just. It's not that I don't know. I feel like his voice caught me off guard next to Redman's. So that's the thing that I think was a little bit weird for me. He's got a very flat, interesting voice that I didn't have enough time to absorb when I listened to this. But I realized listening to his lyrics, they're really on point. Like, when I rock, I need all the girls to be with me so I can be their baby tonight. Like Whitney Houston, producing a style that make us smile to make you say, ooh, 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 child. Like, there's this energy and this funness to it where, like, the lines, like, the way he ends on Whitney and then, like, flows into Houston, which connects the lines but moves into a completely different topic almost, you know? Like, it just flows nicely, right? Mm-hmm. Very impressive shit. And then, yo, Red, my ears are ringing. I can hear some girls singing. And then that happened, and I was like, I don't know if I like that, but it happened. Rock the mic, honey. I love the way you... I'm like, okay, whatever. Then it moves on to Redman, and I feel like Redman is right back up there, and I'm really loving what Redman is doing here, right? Now, this is really just a preference of the literal sounds of their voices, not their talent, not their abilities. I just really enjoy Redman's voice. And I got real excited. And Redman saying some glamorous shit like Funky Fresh in the Flesh, the Superman Grand Slam, Grand Slams a new twist, scoop this, Redman is milk like two tits. That's a drop the mic moment, all right? Redman is milk like two tits. That's true. Two tits will produce milk. And I've never thought of it like that, but to make that comparison, fucking dope. Out there, pretty extravagant. I stay freshly dipped with the 9 and a clip on my hip, money grip, no bullshit. So now you picture him pimped up, decked, ready to go, but you also think he's ridiculous because of his previous line. But it's also creative because like who else says that? Mm-hmm. That's a cool thing. That's like shocking in an interesting way, not shocking just for the sake of being shocking. Like to actually create a poetic parallel that's in anyway. Unlike maybe some of Eminem's more recent efforts on that Boogie album. Really, the verses, I don't know if you heard, anyway, I've done a lot of talking about that.
Yeah.
So all I'm trying to say is this song is fucking cool. I really like the structure of it. 2 simple verses, really fun energy, good beats. I'm not sold 100% on Erick Sooperman, all of his verse, because some parts were a little jarring to me. Yeah. So I left it with a 4.35.
All right, well, let's listen to some Psycho Dub.
Okay.
Just relax. Relax.
It's like Redman's at a massage parlor, a spa thing. He's about to get a massage, but it's all weird and fucking trippy and has strange, like, it sounds like it's supposed to be like what happens when you get a massage in Serenity Land, only on drugs. Mm-hmm. And then it ends.
Yeah. It's only like 28 seconds.
But it's a really cool break, right? I feel like it segues away from the last song nicely, and then it really works as like an introduction to the following song. And it I don't know, I give it a 4. Look, like it's just there, and it sounds nice. I don't think it really communicates much to me like the other skits, but it doesn't annoy me in any way, shape, or form. So 4. That's where I'm at with that.
Okay. It has the same like creepy laugh as the very first skit as well. It definitely, like, he's very relaxed, and I think that he's kind of on like this like drug trip or something, and like the music reflects that feeling. So I think that that's like good. It works. I think it's fine. I gave it a 4.25.
All right, but like I said, it flows so nicely into Jam for You.
Without eating my damn spinach, cause when I'm on the road, that's when Redman starts.
All right, Bonnie, how you feel about this one?
It's good. It's definitely like an interesting mix of sounds. There's a kind of a lot going on. And there's something about this one that like makes me think that it's kind of like a Wu-Tang song, a little bit. I don't know what it was, but just like the feeling about it. Maybe it was Redman's voice on this one. Maybe that's why it sounded a little bit different. The beat is great. I like the scratchiness of the record as per usual. He just kind of like stops like singing in the middle of it. Like it's like kind of off of like one of his verses or whatever he's singing about. But like comes back and you're not really sure if like the song's over or not. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And he's very like creative. So like it's hard. I don't know. Maybe I just don't do a very good job like describing like his creativity, but I really liked it. And I think it's like really well constructed, like just like all of the sounds that he kind of pulls together and makes it all work. So I liked it. It was good. I give it a 4.5.
Almost feels like Redman's approach to music is highly inspired by acting. And I think that might be something that the Wu-Tang has in common, right? Mm-hmm. Because movies and shit really inspire them. Because when you really listen to Redman, I feel like it's the dynamic nature of how alive he makes everything feel. And it's something Eminem, who, if I'm not mistaken, Eminem's favorite rapper is Redman. Eminem does the same kind of thing, the voices, the characters, and he does it all himself, just like Redman. So right off the jump here, get down, you know, get on down, like James Brown, plus I get down. So it's like the way he's just kind of adding these little quotation marks to his rhymes, and he's changing his voice, and he's almost creating a bit of a cinematic experience. You know what he's doing? He's basically fucking PewDiePie. In a sense, this songs like this, like, check it. Rhythm and funk make you hump, like technotronic, I'll make the jam pump. Strong to the finish when I freak the fly gimmick like dun 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 without eating my damn spinach. Like, in a sense, it's like PewDiePie doing fucking meme reactions of just different things and kind of responding to it in between with his flow. So I don't know if anyone's ever said that before. Redman, if you're watching this, let me know if anyone's ever compared you to PewDiePie before.
And PewDiePie, if you are watching this, which I'm sure he's not, but
look, maybe this makes Pew news. I don't know. All I'm trying to say is that's a good way to look at it. So it's got this alive commentary on a bunch of little cultural references, and he makes it all kind of flow. Like, his voice alone is almost like an instrument in the way that he has a range that is really up there with most singers in terms of dynamic ability to do multiple things. Plus, he can just do voices. Plus, he can just keep it all proper. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, he's with the Hit Squad group, I believe, because he's like, Hit Squad's the crew. I'm 22. I know who Hit Squad is. I don't know. There's not like a whole bunch in here that is like, oh, whatever. It's more like a whole bunch of cultural references that make a lot of sense for the time, that are flowed really fucking well together. And I can't stress how good he's quick, he's constant, everything rhymes, and his rhythm is so fucked up. He'll just
Yep.
change rhyming in the middle of like a rhyme, or he'll just pivot, or he doesn't have to follow the rhythms. It's almost
He
like
just does whatever makes him happy.
but it all ends up sounding good,
Yep.
like a proper song should, even though it doesn't feel like it was made in the way that a proper song should be made. And I think that's kind of what makes him a little bit fucking brilliant. What I do is this anyway, I gave this one a 4.35 on 5.
Okay.
The next one, did you give a grade?
Yeah.
Okay, the next one will blow your mind.
Give it to me. Ah, look out! It's the funkadelic funk the chunks.
I think everybody knows that this is one of the coolest songs on the album. You know why?
Mm-hmm. Why?
Because he's the fly human being. Watch him freak it in Korean. And then
Oh, yeah.
he really does. No bullshit. He goes, Churi ka pi kiri muli kara nugu nya nada nana nun Redman. And I'm like, no way. He's doing it.
Is that real? Is that really Korean?
It is. So he had a friend, a Korean lady friend of his, who he wrote it for him. He said, "Yo, write something, like me or whatever, like women, money, women, booze, blah blah blah. You know what a Redman is."
As you do. Yeah.
And then, or weed too. And then she ended up with, "Get out my way. Who are you? I'm Redman. There's no one, no guy better than me in this world. I'm the best Redman, my man." We don't hear the Redman, my man part on this part. You know that it's there if you've listened to this album before. But this one, instead of finishing that last line, he just goes, "Nah, Duke, forget it." And then, "I rip shop in hip-hop, I get props, my lip rocks, the rap stuff's more spooky than movies from Hitchcock." I mean, look at that cool flow. Short little couplety rhymes, fucking keeping it proper, sounds dope, shows culturally relevant. It's just so fucking good.
Hitchcock's movies are pretty spooky.
And it is true. I really enjoy this one again. I feel like as a reviewer, my ability to come up with new and distinct shit to say about Redman on this album is getting challenging because I like the beat. It's got funkiness to it. He's almost rapping about that shit again. Like literally the first line is, "Look out, it's the funkadelic funk for chumps who don't be knowing my name. I tear the frame out your punks." I know he's made those rhymes earlier on this album, literally, but I don't care because he can just fucking keep talking and doing it, and I just want to keep listening. Like, I played this album quite a few times because we were planning on doing it multiple times last week, so I kept listening to it again.
You're like, "Oh yeah, we'll do it tonight," and then like neither of us could get home before like 9 o'clock at night.
It wasn't that bad, but if we don't start recording by a certain time at night, it gets too late, and this was 21 songs, so it was going to be a longer one, and it'll piss off our neighbors. Anyway, so I realized how cohesively enjoyable this album is. You get both the hard rhymings and the enjoyment and fun. I think Snoop Dogg's one of the few who can blend those two things really well, but this is different. This is more, like you said, like a Wu-Tang effort in its sound. All like not trying to group them together, but they are good homies who work together a lot. So obviously they agree. In a sense, I just think it's brilliant, okay? Like, I think that he really does blow my mind. And I end up giving this another 4.5 on 5. It's got lots of creative little cultural references. But it's a lot of cultural references that I don't fully know I don't get half the jokes he's making. Okay, that's just the truth. Like, I can understand the spectacular Blackula, bust holes like Dracula, cool. Loaded, of course, more legend than Acura. I'm like, what the fuck's a legend? Like, I know what an Acura is, and I assume a legend's a car. But is it still a car? And then I start thinking too much, and it ruins some stuff because I don't know enough about it yet. I'm not going to be able to pick up on all the early 90s cultural references. Either way, it's fucking good. It's a good song. It's a 4.5.
Yeah, I mean, it's very fun. I agree with you that it's very creative, and like the use of like the references that he puts in. And it's nice to see that, like, I do always say this whenever I feel it, but I do feel like Redman and Erick Sermon are buddies who are working closely together on this album, and like you can hear them, like they're both like kind of like enjoying what they're doing. They're having a nice time together. They're high. They're goofing around. They're just like making music and doing what feels good to them, and I think that that's pretty cool. I I like that when it's kind of like reflected into the music and into the sound and the feeling and everything. So yeah, you know, and it's still like hard because he like mentions on this one, and I think on other songs as well, that he carries a Glock. So he's still like there's like that hint of like hardcoreness in his life, but it still sounds like very like fun and easygoing, but still like of the time and like kind of representing like where he's at in his life. And I really liked it. It's fun, it's smooth, it's well wrapped, it's good. Another 4.5 on 5. So let's check out Hardcore.
Want to get hardcore in here, eh? Yum.
Murder motherfucks like Manson, a madman who brutalized men with 9mm.
Short and motherfucking sweet. That's the best way to describe this song. This is a highlight on this album to me because it does one of the best poetic techniques that always sounds the dopest in rhymes. Like, it's almost impossible to fuck up this poetic technique. Bonnie, do you know what poetic technique this is?
Well, I don't know which one you're talking about.
Alliteration.
Oh, yeah.
There's a shit ton of alliteration in this song. It's basically all this song is a lot of alliteration.
Yeah.
So yes, that poetic technique, and it's so good. Like, ready to rock, rough rhymes, renegade rapper, rape when it's rhyme time, punk push a pen and pencil when I'm pissed, pack pistol posse flow some more pro shit, fee-fi faux foam, funky to floor eye, fuck your freak words for foreplay, quickly quiet is kept, never quack on the Q-tip I wrote, throw the lines like a quarterback. Just keeps going. It's dope. His energy is insane. This is, again, a good use of creativity, of just doing something different, and it still kind of pulls into, I guess, some of the same core ideas that are inspiring him, but he's able to do just such a fresh and interesting thing. It's produced by EPMD. It's a fucking great song. I give it a 4.75. I don't have a lot more to add in, like, breaking it down, because it really just is Redman goes alliteration on what the album. That would be, like, the best. That's the one sentence of this song over a great fucking beat and great fucking energy with great references and shit.
Yeah. I definitely agree. Like, this one is less about what he's saying and more about how he's saying it and just kind of like the flow. And he's just kind of like showing off like his talent and his skills on this one. I quoted a couple of the lyrics. A monster murder, motherfucks like Manson, a madman who mutilized men with 9mm, bullets blow bad, brother back to back I slam, bread and butter, breaks beats to bam bam. So I liked it. I liked the way that he flows on like the whole song. It's good. I enjoyed like the wordplay and like, you know, he's just having fun but intelligently. So I really liked it. I gave it a 4.25.
All right. Do you know what comes next, Bonnie?
Funky Uncles.
Yeah.
It's goddamn quality, goddamn. I like how.
Sometimes I hear a skit, and the first thing that pops into my head is, I'm just too fucking white to know what the fuck this shit's about. I think this is taking shots at like people, like MC Hammer in some aloof way. Mm-hmm. Does everyone have this uncle? Like, I don't know what the point of this skit is. I feel like there's a big piece of this puzzle that is absolutely missing to me. And I'm certain that some people listening to this were like, this is the funniest shit they've ever heard. And I kind of want to know why, but I feel like I'm just not in on the joke. But it sounds like it's good. Like, it sounds like it's a well-made skit. So I give it a 4. Like, listening to it isn't boring. But listening to it makes me feel really fucking white. So that's where I'm at with this one.
I mean, I agree. I mean, I definitely was kind of like, okay. Like, why? Like, I just didn't get this. So it's basically like a conversation between like a few people or two people or something.
Some funky uncles.
And yeah, like one guy is talking more than the other people, and then like a girl who is also like, it's just Redman with a higher pitched voice, wants money for an ice cream, and then he like the guy tells her to like sit down, and then you're like, okay, what?
It's
and
creepy.
Then like seemed like this could or could not have been included on this album. Like, for me, like, it doesn't really help the narrative of like the story. Like, it's just kind of like, what? Like, it doesn't have like that kind of like.
Well,
like,
no. It has a very big what? The album.
That's very. I mean,
what
that's
the album
true.
is this? No,
I guess it's really just whatever he wants to put on there, and like he doesn't really care if you're like, what? This doesn't make sense. Like so. Like,
but I bet it does make sense to a lot of people.
but in my opinion, I'm just like it's not really necessary, but it's good. But you're like, why? But yeah, I gave it a 3.75.
That's fair. You know what's fun? I really did have a bit of an easier time with.
Redman meets Reggie Noble.
I don't know, but it's on my top lip. Don't crack jokes and pop shit. Just get it off my top lip, or Reggie, you can drop.
We found a 5. This song is so fucking brilliant. I've never heard anything like this before. I mean, I probably have. But, I mean, contextually speaking, if I was sitting there and I heard this for the first time, I'd be like, what the fuck am I listening to? So So Redman battles himself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Redman literally versus Reggie Noble. And he has 2 separate voices he uses, the Redman voice and the Reggie voice.
Yep.
And they just go back and forth smack talking each other. Like,
Which is kind of funny.
Look out, you must got hit with some bullshit. Yo, where you at? Smack dead across your lips. Can you talk? Blah, 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 blah. Hey, yo, Redman, what the fuck was that? I don't know, but it's on my top lip. Don't crack jokes or pop shit or get it off my top lip. Or Reggie, you'll get your drop kicked. Oh, you know, he's just now letting you know which voice is which. But then it gets, like, really fucking weird. Like, blunts don't, or first class ticket, hotel bitches puffin' mad blunts, party with machine and Oprah Winf, first class tickets, hotel bitches puffin' mad blunts don't rhyme with Oprah Winf, chump. Who cares what rhymes with it as long as the funk pump through my Benz trunk? Nah, you know, it's just weird shit like that. Like, when I'm sexy, my bat is bigger than Eddie Munster's, like Maxim. Wait. Could we get on with the tape? Lights, camera, action. Welcome to Red's tape. May I take your order? It's just, and you're just like, what am I listening to? It really is just so fucking like weird. Down to like the get your gang because I'm fighting with more power than Chuck D. Wait, Chuck D from Public Enemy? Yeah, he's a friend to me. The one that say brothers and sisters? Fun fact, that's actually Flava Flav who says brothers and sisters. But still, yeah, he's no kin to me. So one of them's a friend, but not a friend? I don't know. It's just, you end up going, this is really like, you want to go back and listen to it again. You kind of want to keep hearing it because I bet every single one of you watching it could write like that song in a sense. You've had that conversation with yourself in a sense where you just battle yourself, you know, like maybe not in like a rappy sense, but just like, you know, you're taking a shower and you just get into a diatribe about whatever and you literally get into a heated debate with yourself down to insults and shit. And that's what I feel like he's doing here. But he's doing it like right on wax and playing like 2 separate distinct characters with it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what makes this song truly incredible. Like from a storytelling perspective of hip hop, you have 2 characters played by the same dude really pushing it. And if you consider all the characters in the Wu-Tang and all the different things that are to come, and again, this is not the earliest instance of this. I want to know in the earliest instance of this, who was the first fucking rapper to play multiple characters on the same project? Or better yet, arguing with themselves on the same song. I'm not saying Redman's the first. I'm saying Redman's now the first I've heard of. To me, this is a 5. It's silly. It's hard. It's ridiculous. It's so fucking cool. The beat is a little bit dumbed down, a little bit more grimy, but still kind of funky fresh. And I don't know. It just hit it perfect for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool. Like, you know, you kind of summed it up. It is like kind of just like a battle between both of them or himself. And it kind of reminded me, this one sort of reminded me of like Busta Rhymes, like the way he was flowing on this one, which I thought was kind of cool. It's good, it's funny. Again, it's less about like what's being said and more just the fact that he's kind of playing both parts and that he's kind of like having like a discussion between both of his personas and just kind of like showing off his skills and in different ways. And I think that that's kind of really cool and like a smart way to do that, to showcase that. So I thought it was fun. I give this a 4.25. I guess I didn't love it as much as you, but I still liked it.
Ridiculous. Well, tonight's the night to teach her what's up.
Okay.
Bang, yo, bust the slang with my name. It's the Redman on the funk thing. Psych.
All right, Bonnie, since we got a ladies jam, you take it.
I mean, I really like this one. It's a really smooth beat. It's kind of like a different feeling to some of the other stuff that we've heard. But like the audience wants like rougher shit, but he's like, no, like this is gonna be like a little bit smoother, a little bit more jazzy. And I think that that's kind of cool. He's just like, I'm gonna do whatever I want. I don't really care what you guys want. I'm gonna make music that I want to listen to, and that's what you should do. But he raps, but at the same time, like he could get shot for rapping, and he appreciates his time in basically in the world. And he talks about like that he smokes a lot of weed, and you know that's what kind of like makes him want to like slow things down and like listen to it a little bit different, and you know, or have like a different feeling on it. So it's funky, it's smooth, it's cool. I think it was really cool, and I think that this album, like especially like this song and like the flow to it, I think it's the kind of thing that you would put on like the back of like a dinner party with some really cool people that you're having over or whatever. I just think it's like a really enjoyable, and he's not like bragging. He's just like, this is what I want to make. I'm not saying I'm the best rapper. He's pretty humble. He's just going to do his thing, and he's going to like have fun doing it, and it shows. And it's still it's enjoyable to listen to because he put like his time and like his own creativity into it, and I think that was really cool. So I give this a 4.5, although I feel like it could have very well been a 5.
So I think it's worth pointing out that the very first thing that happens is like, so this beat's like a slow R&B beat. Mm-hmm. All things considered, that is not what we've been getting on this album. Given Redman's humorous, violent almost style, it's a very weird choice when it starts playing. And I think that like Redman knows this, and that's why he starts off with mic check. I can get smooth to any groove, relax the tongue, let my mic take a cruise around the planet, pack him in like Janet Jackson. She asking if I can slam it, and it's kind of soft. It's kind of like nice. And then Hurricane G, one of the affiliates of the time, yo, Redman, what the fuck, man? Get the fuck off that punk smooth shit, man. Get with that rough shit. You know how we do. But what's really cool is he takes almost the same flow over the same beat and just changes the words. So it's like mic check. I walk around with the streets with a black Tech 9 by the waistline kicking the hype shit. I never claimed to be the best type of rapper, but have to show them motherfuckers what I'm after. And it's just incredible how he just kicks it from like PG-13 to like X-rated or rated R in like this over, and then just runs through it. And he's saying,
to show how diverse he can be in his lyrics and his sound.
Yeah, and like he overall just kind of puts down a little bit of a rougher verse here, and like it's like, I don't claim to be a big rap star, because no matter who you are, you'll still catch a bullet scar. So listen up and take heed to what I'm saying, because tonight's the night, and me and my ain't playing. And then you have a little interlude going on over a Mary Jane Girls song, All Night Long. Never heard of that, but and then it's just kind of talking, you know, fat black bitch, nasty bush bear, booger breath bitch, you know, that's kind of shit. And then it just flows into a whole second verse where he's saying some really cool fucking shit, in my opinion, like when he goes, but if you want to see a fly but frantic, cool romantics, more slicker than my man Rick, you better check the yellow pages under smooth shit, because Red ain't down for the bullshit. I think it's cool that he does shout out like Slick Rick, that he does manage to kind of flow this out, and like not just being like I'm the shit, but use like 4 lines of like allegory to basically say I ain't down for bullshit, but like preface it with a bunch, he's also all these other things. And I feel like he really can capture the essence of more of a grimier side on this track. He ended up, because of his approach, going from, let's say, taking this R&B sound that would have been maybe smooth and creating this gritty, almost Nas-like feel to it, which I think is really cool that he flicked the switch in the middle of the fucking song like that. And then he comes in with that third verse. He's about to start to go blah, 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 black. By popular demand, I expand my hand to the mic and let my mouth kick the flim flam. I get sex, I get wrecked. Puff my blunts, I got vexed. I break a necks, punch out gold fronts, chomping it. And then he just cuts it off. Yo, fuck that. Yo, turn this shit off, man. Turn this shit off, G. Boom the new record. Come on, now I'm saying, like, he was ready to go, and then he said, I don't like this fucking verse. But they had that, so they kept it. That's just what it felt like. And I guess that's part of the charm of this project, is that it doesn't feel, it just feels like you're in the lab with them as they're making it, you know? I did enjoy this track. I gave it a 4.5 on 5.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm a bad.
No. There's blow your mind again. There is another blow your mind. All right, so you know what's really fucking crazy is that Redman is so dope. He actually has these lyrics: "With the fly human being, watch me kick it in Korean." Anyway, this is like I don't know how different it is. There's obviously differences between this song and the original "Blow Your Mind." As an example, here you get the line "You sang," I can't even fucking do it. Redman, my man. That part gets in. I feel like a lot of this is like a new beat. Like it was just done a little bit different, but like we don't have to spend that much time here because it's very similar.
It's very similar to the other song. It's just
the remix.
Yeah.
And the most noticeable thing to me is that he finished the Korean part. Like that was the most noticeable thing to me, and that was pretty cool. The beat is equally as good to me. It doesn't. Like to me, this song is it's fine. I give it a 4.25. I like the original a little bit better, but like it's still a good song. It's just if I have to pick, I'm going with original "Blow Your Mind" over remix "Blow Your Mind." Look, we skip remixes as much as fucking possible, okay? Because it's like, what the fuck am I gonna now say? But Redman gave us no choice here. He shoved this in the middle of the fucking album. We gave us no choice but to talk about it.
I mean, I gave it a 4.25 as well. I mean, it's good. You know, there's really like nothing like new, substantial, but it's a good sound. I liked it, so yeah.
But like the first time I heard it, I was like, did he really get two Korean part? And then it clicked when I'm like,
wait a second.
And then yeah. Anyway, now as Bonnie was trying to introduce,
I'm a bad
what? Yeah.
Word to the
How do you feel about the beat flip?
It's pretty cool. Like this one is really interesting. Like the way he just kind of like plays with like different sounds, different flows, different like I don't know, voices. I don't know. It's really cool. I like this one because it gets like super fast at one point and it changes up, and I appreciate that.
But he does it like on purpose, right?
Yeah.
Just to show y'all I do what the fuck I want to do. I want y'all to check this out for real. Hey, yo, check this out. Then the beat just flips into this weird, like, upbeat, techno-y kind of sound. And it's like, come on. Hey, yo, check this out. Shake it. Come on, shake it. Come on, shake it. Come on, shake it. What's up now? What's up now? And you're just like, what? Right in the middle of his fucking song. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
He's just almost telling the people telling him
He's
what
just going to do whatever he wants.
It's like somebody said, yo, Redman, you can't do that. And he said, you know what? This is my motherfucking album. Fuck you.
And
then
he's
he did
like
it.
worked so hard and he's making it his own. And he's like, nah, I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah, anyway.
So yeah, and like when he speeds up a little bit, his voice again reminds me of like Busta Rhymes. So I thought, again, like same sort of vibe. So if you like Busta Rhymes and you haven't listened to Redman, you should. And like his rhymes are like going to like blow your mind, and he's pretty good again, and he does like all like the bad things, and he feels like he's like a bad influence, but he doesn't care. He's just gonna like keep doing himself. He's gonna just be himself, and that's it. I thought this one was really creative, like just it was really unique, and I give this a 4.75. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I really love the flow. I feel like we're back up to that energetic rhyming.
Yeah.
This one's more on the line of like cultural references. I'm the best. My brain's fucked up. I'm the red man. You know, like that would be like the song. I don't mean to sound it mocking like, but it's kind of what it is. I mean, like, I puffed the mad spliffs and rolled blunts with Archie Bunker. I mean, that's a bull fucking move, because that dude was racist. Because my brain is twisted, so I cocked the biscuit, because shit's thick. So I'm saying I'm a bastard of a swift bitch. Funking it with the style in your ear, bro. To make you fear me like Cape without Robert De Niro. Yeah, it's really basically what we've been getting for most of this album at this point. So I can't say that this song is like about a lot, except in more of that top level hip hoppy way that you prove you are by flexing style and shape.
Yeah.
But he does it so well. It's so interesting to listen to him flow. That beat flip is just like, it just catches you off guard, but in a way where every time you hear it, you kind of want to go hear it again because it's really fun. And then you almost wish it stayed like that, but then it goes right back into the song as if it never happened. I'm very impressed with this. I give it a 4.75 as well because it's really fucking cool.
All right.
Let's talk about how you were Sessed One Night.
Cooler, man. Yeah. What you smiling at?
So, Bonnie, do you feel that the police harass people?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Do you think this is a good example of that playing out in real life?
Well, I don't know if this is real life, but yeah,
I bet that exact thing happens in real life. No?
probably. Yep.
So cops just harass some people, like what's going on here,
Yep.
blah, blah, blah. You're smiling, get the fuck against the car, all y'all. You know, just shit like that, which I guess if you're high and you might be a little smiley and a cop shows up on you and you get nervous and grinny and a cop takes that the wrong way, they might fucking beat you, eh? Holy shit, never had that thought once in my life. It's a reality, but and I'm not, without admitting too much, I remember being young and seeing how easy that could have happened by accident just because you were maybe consuming certain products that if I admit to will not let me cross the border. Yeah, that's the world we live in now. Anyway, and then Redman shows up and goes, seems to be a problem officer. Yeah, you motherfucker, where you get your big mouth from? I ask you to talk. And then it just goes into the next track. And I think it's cool that he took the opportunity to address, like, some real shit. Like, he's not just about, like, the fun. There's some real shit that has to get talked about. And he used this portion of his debut album to do that. So I think it's super commendable. And I gave him a 4.5 on this one.
Okay. I don't know. Like, I feel like you kind of got like the gist of like what was going on this one. You know, the cops pull some guy over and they like, you know, they obviously, you know, pull him out of the car and everything. But it just sounds like a little unclear and like maybe it was just like like the times or like my cultural differences or whatever. But like I feel like it didn't quite hit the target. Like it wasn't substantial enough to like, I don't know. It just didn't really like hit it for me. So I give us a 3.75.
Okay.
But I appreciate what he was doing, but like I just don't think he quite got there.
But I think it's a great introduction, right, to the following song, which will teach you
How to
quite
roll a blunt.
literally how to roll a blunt.
Oceans in the top piece you lick, seal it, dry it with your lighter if you got to. The
All right, Bonnie. Do you know how to roll a blunt?
I do now.
Because that whole first verse. I really like it, though. Like, so first of all, you get a fat bag of ism, which is marijuana. From Uptown, any local store sells the shit, friend. Purchase a Philly. I actually don't know if ism's weed. Maybe I'm wrong. Is ism weed? I don't want to be wrong. Purchase a Philly. This part I did know. Not the city of Philly, silly punk. I'm talking about the cigar, the Philly blunt. Like the blunt, then the Philly blunt middle you split. Don't have a razor blade. Use your fucking fingertips. Crack the bag. Then you pour the whole bag again. So you put your weed into the blunt. So I'm guessing the ism is the weed. You spread it around. Then you take your fingertips and your thumb from tip to tip and you roll it and then you lick and you seal it with your lighter and the result's proper. No, it's not that fucking easy. Are you fucking kidding me? No, it's not. Okay. Anyway, that's how you roll a blunt. And then you get the second verse and he just kind of talks some sillier shit related to weed, like a bad breath person with lots of saliva making it all wet, ruining it, or women who don't know how to roll a blunt so with their fucking nails and they spill the weed everywhere, and he's like, you better get all of that shit. Are you fucking kidding me? And then, yeah, that's the song.
Yep.
This shit is really fucking good. It is so creative. It's so silly. It's so weird and unexpected, especially after that skit, but I love it. Okay, I think it's so fun to listen to, and I give it a 4.75.
Yeah, I mean, it is a really fun song. Like, the beat is really fun. The raps are really good. He's teaching you something. You know, and this is before the days of, like, YouTube. So this is, like, as good as it gets.
So for all the ladies who wanted to get with Redman, he wanted to make sure that you had the real instructions on his expectations for your ability to roll marijuana before you can suck his dick.
Like, yeah, sure, I guess. And it's also like very like James Brown sounding, which is very cool. I mean, he kind of talks about James Brown a few times, and it's obviously like a big influence on a lot of people.
He also talks about Archie Bunker again.
Yep.
Clearly an influence on some people.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, people enjoyed the show. It was a
It was a
popular
pretty
show.
fucking lame show.
but I feel like a lot of people watched
No, they really
it.
do. Like
Maybe a
when-
lot of white people.
So when I grew up, one of those channels made like an oldies channel, so my mom got to like all of a sudden relive all the shows
I
she
feel like
grew up with.
everybody has that channel.
And then, but it popped, like it came out, and I remember being like maybe late teenage years, and then we watched so much Happy Days, so many other ones from that era that he was really fucking racist.
Anyways, I really liked it. I thought it was like really enjoyable, really fun, and I give this a 4.5. And it teaches you something, so hey, why not?
It aloofly teaches you. It's just not that easy. He makes it sound like, well, it's just that simple. It's not. Plus, do y'all smoke blunts? Like, or are you into joints, bongs, pipes? I mean, now you got all the variations. Do y'all hit like the vaporizers? I'm curious, dabs your thing? Because this is, I mean, it's legal in 30 or fucking states in some capacity, and I'm assuming most of you are American, 77% according to YouTube. Canada, it's legal, so like, you know, I'm just curious what you're like, because I know that some places like the joints, some places like the blunt, some places like the, you know, I'm just curious. It's relevant to the song. He's into the blunts. My understanding is blunts use a lot of marijuana, but they burn slow. And so there is a trade-off to like clipping it, but in my understanding of the more Montreal life, there is some blunts, but a lot of people like spliffs up here, which are longer, skinnier joints.
Okay.
Anyway, just curious. So the next one though addresses a little thing that I think needs to be talked about, don't you?
Yeah.
The Sooper Lover interview.
Okay.
Sounds very interesting. What are your plans now?
You ready?
Yeah.
All right, Bonnie, how do you feel?
I mean, this one was funny, and this is like, I don't know if this actually happened or if this is just like a fantasy of his, but it was funny. It's basically like a funny sex-driven interview, and like she clearly wants him and is like asking him some questions, and like, you know, she's asking like, well, why do like ladies call him Super Lover? And then, you know, he goes to explain it, and then, you know, she's all hot and bothered for him, and like it could very well be real. Obviously, like I don't think like this is like recorded of that conversation, but it's funny, and I think that he's kind of modest as well. Like he's trying not to. He's kind of like shocked that this girl like wants to be with him almost, or at least he gives off that impression. So I thought it was fun. It was enjoyable. I gave this a 4.4.
So I kind of took it like Redman is sitting here just trying to have a normal interview.
Yeah.
And
Like, he's kind of like, what?
And yeah, I'm like the ladies. It's almost like these women seem to be asking him all these questions just to get him into bed. And so this whole interview is this woman trying to seduce him, but he doesn't actually sound like he's like down. It sounded like he wanted to go chill out, escape, because he's talking about, oh, I'm gonna be done my album, gonna go escape, chilling in a jacuzzi. He's not actually talking about fucking people. Like he's talking about getting away from everyone. And then she's like, I have a jacuzzi. Why don't you come chill with me? He's like, what are you saying? I'm like, I mean, it sounds like part of him is obviously indulging it, but the other part of him is feeling objectified. And that was what I thought was interesting.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Because to me, it kind of sounds like as much as, yeah, what do you know? I got the magic dick. I work wonders, whatever. But, like, he can't even get through an interview talking about his album without some chick trying to get on his dick. That is a frustrating situation. And I'm pointing it out like that because that's how I felt his tone was. Mm-hmm. And that's rare. How often do you have the
Where
rap?
he's kind of like, what?
Like, you haven't heard Redman the whole album being like, I'm fucking mad bitches. In fact, you don't really hear that except for the don't get AIDS. And it doesn't seem like he, at this point at least, like he's that into like all sorts of random. Maybe he has a girlfriend or a wife or something, you know? I don't know. I'm just assuming, but on the subject of women, this is like the least misogynistic album of this era that we've covered in terms of how hardcore and gangster it is. I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe not the least, but it ranks pretty decently in terms of being not...
Sounds like a nice guy, like a good guy.
Like respectful of ladies. And the ladies, in fact, are disrespecting him, if anything. Anyway, so I thought it was cool. I give it a 4.5 because it seemed really like an inch... Like he was trying to make a point with it, you know, about how... Come on, I'm more than just Mr. Sooperman Lover. But then we get...
A Day of Sooperman Lover.
My X-ray ice set like chill. I get into the closest phone booth with flag.
Bonnie, Do you feel like you want to have intercourse with Reggie Noble after listening to this song?
Well, no, I don't know. I don't think that that's the point of this one. I think that it's kind of like a shocking story. I don't think it's like he's trying to like be like, hey, come have sex with me.
No, I actually think it's a response again to the last interview. Because it is just showing that, yeah, his name is Sooperman Lover, sure, but it's more like he's trying to be a superhero, walking around, crazy person, doing all this elaborate shit. And again, like, the sex thing seems to be around him, but it's not like the focus. It just seems to be thrown his way, even though he doesn't want it, right?
Yeah. Well, I think he does want to have sex, but then he's like, I think that he's always, I think he doesn't always get what he wants out of sex, I think is kind of the lesson we're learning from this album. Like, if he has sex, he gets AIDS or HIV, or he ends up with something like what happens in this song.
Which is?
Well, let's go into it. So this one sounds a little bit more like 70s and Motown-y a little bit, which I love. I love Motown. So it's a cool intro. And then he kind of changes into like his like Superman suit or I guess it's the Superman suit. And then he goes because he sees like a cat stuck in a tree and like needs like assistance. So it's kind of like a funny story, it's kind of like 1950s like Pleasantville kind of story. The chorus is kind of funny sounding, but like everything still kind of works as well. And then there's like a girl that's interested in him, and I think
because she rescued her cat.
Yeah. Oh, it's her cat. Okay, I didn't get that.
That's why I think it's good that he uses the word pussy the way he does. He's literally talking about a cat, but he's alluding to pussy the whole way through.
Okay. All right.
So if you go ahead and do something for a girl and you save her day, and so for the sake of getting laid, he'll turn into Mr. Sooperman Lover.
Yeah.
And go out of his way to do some crazy shit like save a cat from a tree just to,
Yeah. And so I think, and then like the girl does like some cocaine, and he's not interested. He's like, oh, I'll just smoke some weed. It's cool. And then like, they start getting a little handsy and start making out. And so he sticks his hand down there to like, go in for like, for her vag, and discovers that there's a penis.
You could tell that Bunny is not comfortable knowing what to do when you stick your hand out to some lady.
Anyways, so then he discovers that, there's a penis, and he's kind of like, ew, and he's like not into that. He's not about that.
I did appreciate, so I threw my suit on and I was Swayze, because Swayze's from Ghost. He ghosted the lady. Oh!
Yep. And he was out of there. Like, he was like, nope, I'm not there for that. Like, that's cool, you do you, but he's not, he doesn't want a penis. And so it's good. It's a funny story. The sound overall sounds really good. I liked it. I give this a 4.5.
That's fair. I gave it a 5 on 5. This song is hilarious. The song is so funny. The song is just a great story. You just get so enthralled in it. Mm-hmm. But it really complements the fact that, like, it's just as much as everyone seems to want him, he seems to be highly aware of the consequences of this shit. Whereas everyone else may have just, I'm not saying fuck the transsexual person, but everyone would have been like so down for the girl that was hitting on him in the interview. Everyone's so down for everything, but Reggie, as much as he's going for it, seems like he recognizes that there's limits, that there's like I said, consequences. Like, nothing in life is ever just as it seems. Mm-hmm. And so he tells you this mundane story of saving a cat going to get laid, and it's just nothing is ever as it seems. And I think that's brilliant. Yeah. So I gave it a 5 on 5. It was hilarious, and I really liked it a lot. And then, I guess,
the Encore.
Yeah, that. This starts off with a sample of one of my favorite songs in rap music. And he goes, damn, forgot to do something by the sea. Oh, yeah, it ain't over, motherfuckers. Taken straight from Ice Cube's No Vaseline. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, greatest diss track of all time. And then it's a sample from the theme from The Black Hole. All around the world for the funk. I'll toast to that. And it just does it until the song ends.
Yep.
And it's just a nice little scratchy encore of, like, just basically Redman flexing on the more production side. Letting it play, being funky, and being really in line of those more instrumental-driven hip-hop outros that don't seem to exist anymore, but seem to be a lot more prevalent back in the day. So I really like that, and I think it did its job really well. And considering the intro, this is kind of a cool let you down. So it brings you in hard, and it leaves you really soft and ready to go smoke a joint and be cool with the rest of your day.
Yep.
Which is all I think Redman wants for you. So I gave it a 4.5 because I thought it was a fitting outro to this project.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. Like, the beat was familiar, and I was like, is this like from something else that I've heard already on this album? Like, there was something about it that was familiar to me. Or like maybe I've just listened to this album too much now because I had listened to it a whole bunch of times. So I mean, it was good. Like, there's really not much to like this song, and it's, you know, only a minute 21. But like there's like the beat, and I think that that's kind of cool, and it does kind of reflect like an older style and an older generation of like music. I thought that was kind of cool just to like leave that in there at the end. I give it a 4 on 5.
Fair enough. All right, well, I guess that's the end of this project. Redman's debut album, Whut the Album. And it's kind of a bit of a what the fuck moment. It's a classic to me. It like breaks in even on that 4.5 on 5 grade. I understand that Muddy Waters and There Is a Dark Side, I think they're called, are supposed to be better albums. So yes, we'll review them. I know that's going to come in the comments. This is what I'm predicting. What the album's pretty good, but his other stuff was better. Anyway, I get it. I saw those comments before we reviewed this album, but it seemed kind of dumb to start with his second and third albums and shit when we could start with the first one and then just do the second and third albums, having that context. Plus, this way, for the more popular albums, we'll have done that first album review where you course correct us and give us great-ass comments and help us get there so we don't sound as dumb on the other ones. Woo!
Exactly. Progression.
Love you guys. You guys are fucking great. But yeah, this album's a classic. It's so many interesting things, especially from like the historical relevance, the multiple characters, the way it almost breaks the rules of being an album. It's also so punk in its creation, and I really appreciate that side of it. Like, this really is a Reggie Noble experience.
Cool.
A Redman project, you know? Like, it's fucking cool, and it makes me want to go hear everything else this guy's done. And yeah, anyway, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I was pretty surprised by this album. Like, I was kind of concerned, like, going into it, and I thought that it would have a very different feeling than the outcome. And it was like very enjoyable just because you kind of get this sort of horror, kind of creepy feeling from like the album cover, and you're just kind of like, oh well, like it's gonna be like another like hardcore like rap album. Like you just kind of assume it's going to be something, especially based off of like the intro. It's kind of creepy a little bit, and then like the rest of it's like so enjoyable, but like the whole thing just works. It's very creative. It's very like his own. He clearly is very skilled. Erick Sermon is great. I think it was really great. I think this was just him doing what he wanted to do and taking the time to figure out how to produce it and work on it and everything else. And he had good people helping him out. And I think that it was less about like the hood life, and it was just sort of like a mix of like everything that was going on while still just like having like a nice time. And yeah, I like this. I give this a 4.28. So it's 85.6%. So I really liked it.
That's fair. So thank y'all for watching. We very much appreciate you being here with us. Very much are excited to see what you have to say in the comments. Again, that's my favorite part, is the comments after the video is up. I look forward to them every time. So looking forward to chit-chatting with you there. We are small enough that I can still answer everybody. I guess at some point people are going to come to the video and maybe we won't be, and then all that's full of shit. But today at the release of this video we are. So thank you again. Special thanks to the patrons, Linda Williams, Super Old School 1994, Chris Prado, and Ismail Gadamsi. They support us. They help us. Literally, we got a new camera recently because of them. It helped us to see the lint, as I said earlier at the beginning of this video. But that's really amazing. It's just so cool to get that support. And if you want to join us there, you can sway our hand in album selections and shit. So Super Old School 1994 will very soon have his album of choice being reviewed. Following up that, you get access to some content early and some shit like that. We'll get better over time. If you don't want to do that version, there's the subscribe, like, comment, YouTube speech shit that we're supposed to say at the end.
Share.
Yay. Do all that. Please. Help. Please. Anyway, I also dropped
that was the voice of desperation right there.
Please. It's been.
Please, help us.
I also dropped a project recently, back in November. I guess it's not as recently. Recent's relevant. Relative. Anyway, check that out if you want. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll be making a bunch more new music this year to share with y'all, and that's the goal. 2019, more creation, more sharing with y'all. Hope you enjoy it. Looking forward to seeing you next time. And next week, we were inspired by Trigger Warning with Killer Mike. Peace.
Yep. Bye.